what if you had a goal, and that goal was to take your business from $4,000 in profit a month to $10,000 in profit a month? And what if you had struggled for years to even get an extra $1,000? That maybe you've gone from 4 to 5, but you can't seem to crack that ceiling. And then what if I told you that one day, not only were you going to hit that 10 a month, but you were going to leapfrog over it and make even more money? Hey, badass business owners, my name is Tammy, and I'm here to help you grow your business, but more importantly, grow those profits. And today, I want to share a success story with you. And I want to kind of share a little bit about what I've witnessed over the last couple of years with somebody that was facing this exact scenario. You see, I met this business owner a couple of years ago when they reached out, and one of their goals that they wanted to do was to go from about $4,000 and hit 10. And they had been trying for a while to get to that number. And honestly, during our very first year of coaching and talking to each other, that was always the goal. But there was all this frustration that the progress wasn't being made. The progress wasn't being made. And yeah, it went up a little bit and it was getting a little bit better and sales were going up. But there still was that frustration and that beating themselves up all the time. Well, a funny thing happened down the road. They not only, one day they went from that 5,000 all the way, they jumped to 8 and 9, and they were oh so close. And this is like a year and a half into this. And it's like, oh my God, I'm knocking on the door. I'm knocking on the door. I'm knocking on the door. And then what happened? There was a month that came right after that where it jumped to like 13, 14,000, just completely over the 10. And we thought, okay, is this a fluke? We're going to find out when it gets to the next month. Well, guess what? The next month, they did 2,000 more than that. So now they're at 15, 16. I forget what the number was. But here's the funny thing. They never did hit the 10. They went right over it. They worked and worked and worked. And not only they got to 8 and just said, forget 10. I don't need 10. I'm going to go right below that or above that. And one of the things I'm challenging now is like, let's just shoot for 20. Forget the 10. You know what? I want you to recalibrate your brain right away that you want even more, because I want that 10 out of there as quickly as possible, because I don't want you to pull that business back. I don't want you to do that. Now, you're probably asking yourself, what did this person do? Because this isn't about me. I want you to know this has nothing to do with my coaching. I want to do this video because what this gentleman has done was he never gave up. He never gave up on his dream. Trust me, there were many times he wanted to. There were many frustrations along the way of him getting there. And there's still frustrations to go. And nobody could beat him up more than he could beat himself up. And he was constantly second guessing. I mean, he still does, constantly second guessing what he's doing and wondering if he's doing the right thing. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to kind of take what I've watched happen over the last year and a half and share it with you in case it might help some of you guys out. You see, one of the very first things that we started talking about was coming up with some monthly, quarterly goals. So we kind of started off with some quarterly goals of what he wants to accomplish. We were using the 12-week year. You know, I'm a huge fan of the 12-week year. There's a link, I believe, in the show notes for it. It's a wonderful thing. It's where you cram in 1 year into 12 weeks and you just repeat that. You can get that done in about, hopefully 3 to 4 of those in a particular year. And there was some progress that was being made, but one of the things that kept happening is life. Life would always pop up. You know, life would throw him a curveball. He had to move in there. He was getting sick at a few different times, had some family things that came up and whatnot. And he would just beat himself up. And I'm like, okay, look, you made progress. The goal, this is a game of inches, right? As long as you keep getting up and moving forward. And you know what? That if you didn't meet your goals for the week, the next week, you put those goals back on the thing and you start going after them again. And then sometimes you realize, you know what, maybe I'm not doing this goal because it really isn't as important as I once thought it was, in which case you change the goal and you reevaluate that and you decide where I want to go. But that was one piece of it, right? One is just getting up every single day, trying something new. One is he always would be looking at his business numbers. And you heard me go on a rant about knowing those business numbers. And it wasn't that he is a math nerd, I will tell you that. But at the end of the day, it was, how can I use the numbers to better my business. And looking at, there was one point where I challenged him, find out what your top, he sells a lot of items. I challenged him, look at what your top 25 items were last year and compare them to what your top 25 items are this year. And one of the differences that came out of that is the top 25 this year only had a few crossovers. There were a bunch of things that weren't there the next time. So the challenge was, go back to those items from the year before, stock up on them, and find out why they're not top sellers. And in some cases, it was because of running out of inventory. And he has some things working against him because the platform that he works on and does his business on is constantly trying to throw banana peels at him to make him slip up, have him lose money, take away his profit and everything else. And he still kept chipping away, finding ways around it, using the business numbers to his advantage on how he could do more sales. But a lot of it was also self-inflicted. And what he challenged himself was, you know what, I can't fix what this company's doing, but I can fix what I'm doing. And I can fix what I'm doing to limit my sales. And that's really one of the things that he really went after, was to ensure that he was always in stock of his best sellers. And he even knew what his best sellers were, because he couldn't tell you what his best sellers were. He could gut instant, based off of what he was doing. But there were a lot of items that were aha moments where he really realized, oh, wow, I didn't realize these were also really good sellers. Now, another thing that he did that was really important is he looked at all of the processes in his business. And he asked himself, how can I improve those processes? How can I get better at them? Because in the beginning, he was doing way too much. And he has some virtual assistants. And it was like, how do we get some of this off your plate into your virtual assistants? And more importantly, how do we work on those virtual assistants being even better at the processes? So he worked a lot over the 2 years of, how do I fine tune those processes? How do I get my VAs to be better? Once again, he had a lot of hiccups, a lot of challenges with that at the same time, but he got up every single day and he tried it again, and he kept going and he kept going and he kept going. Now, here's what's amazing. Remember I told you he just completely bypassed the 10, right? And now he's sitting somewhere after 10. And, we've got a few more months to go before we can say confidently that that's going to happen. But I do believe that. And I also do believe he can hit 20. You know why? Because there's so many things he still has to work on and improve. For example, his shipping. He's doing tons of this stuff himself with his wife. And there's better, more efficient ways for them to be able to handle their shipping, in which case that puts even more stock out there for them to be able to sell. So anything that is still getting limited, and, customer return, all these different things that are going to get improved by doing that. So he still has opportunity to grow that business. So I am confident he's going to get to that 20, and that he's just going to keep doing it, because I know his work ethic and the fact that he gets up. And let me tell you, it's not perfect. All right. Like I said, no one can beat him up better than he can. I have to force him to celebrate his wins. He has some issues and some things at home that are constantly blocking him from being as productive as he wants to do. He has goals that he's always beating himself up on because he hasn't made the progress on them that he wants to do. And we're always trying to find that best way for him to do it. You know what? We went from the 12-week year down to, okay, let's focus on 3 top goals for the month. And sometimes we have to say, what's the one thing you're going to get done this week? Because once again, it's all about moving forward and chipping away at what matters most. A lot of times we're doing a lot of busy work and we're not really getting anything done. That's why those, having those 2 or 3 things that will move the needle in your business are so crucial, that every day you focus on one thing that's going to help you move your business forward. And that's what he does. He focuses on that 1 or 2 things and gets it done. Like I said, sometimes he gets to the end of the week, he doesn't feel like he made any progress, but I can see a lot of that progress, and the fact that he continues to chip away at making his business even better than what it was before. And I want to, I'm giving him this shout out because I am so proud of him. Like I said, he has done the work, and he will continue to do the work, and he will continue to grow his business. He's looking at some other avenues. He's looking at some other ways that he can, bring in even more business. He's looking at ways, just in case something happens with the platform he's on, that he doesn't lose all of his income. He's doing so many things, and it's going to be amazing what it is that he does. But once again, he is the hero of this because he's the one doing the work. Because I can't tell you how many people that I'll talk to, and the next time that we talk, nothing has been done. Nothing. And here's what's interesting. Me and this guy, we don't talk face to face. We do it all through email. It's email coaching that we do. And every week he gets back with me what he did. We talk about the goals, what needs to get done, and we talk through the course of the week through these emails, and he's able to make things happen. There are people that I meet with face to face. There's people that I meet with online. There's people I do phone calls with. It doesn't matter. But you know what? The difference is he does the work. Now, I'm not saying a lot of people don't do the work. There's a lot of people that are out there doing the work, and you're seeing the differences in their business. Once again, it's not me. Because if it was me, everybody would be successful. But you know what? There are other people out there not willing to do the work. They want to have the conversation. They want to talk about it. They know what they need to do, but they just don't do the work. They don't chip away at it. They have one roadblock, and then they kind of like throw their hands up, and then they're like, oh, I never got to it, or I never got back to it, or no, I haven't done that yet. And sometimes I'm checking back a week later, 2 weeks later, a month later, or even months later. I didn't do it. The difference between him having that success and others who aren't having that success is he is putting in the work. With all of the stuff that hits him, all of the roadblocks that he runs into, he gets up every single day, dusts himself off, and tackles the next day and does it again. Did it take longer than he wanted? Absolutely. He wanted to hit that 10 grand way earlier, but he kept chipping away at it and making progress. But at least he got up, he showed up, and he was trying to do the work, even though it didn't always work out the way that he wanted it to. That's my message to you is, are you doing the work? Are you taking the steps every single day? Are you dusting yourself off and getting back up no matter what life has to throw you? That is the key to success. That is how you're going to grow your business. I get that you want it tomorrow. We all want it tomorrow. I would love to have that kind of success that's in my head the very next day. But I know that if I don't get up and I don't do the work, it's not going to happen, right? It is about a series of choices. If you think you're going to have this instant gratification and you're going to grow your business to some crazy ass number and you're not doing the work, it's not going to happen. You know, a lot of times when people hear about somebody's success, how they blew up, that what they don't see is behind the scenes, the number of hours that they're working, the family life that they've given up. You know what? My guy, he doesn't want to give up his family time. His family is huge to him. So he finds a way to work around that and making sure that his family is always important. So yeah, it's going to take a little bit longer. It's okay. The important thing is that you're growing. You're making more money than you made yesterday. And that if you're not, you're analyzing why you didn't. You're looking at the numbers, finding out why you didn't, and then making another decision. That's what's important to each and every one of you guys. You need to do the work. It's not about your coach. I've had people that are coached by people that are charging them hundreds and thousands of dollars. And you know what? They're not seeing success. The reason they're not seeing success is because they're not focused. If you don't do the work, it's not going to happen. Okay. It's not about the fancy amount of money that you pay somebody. It ultimately comes down. You're paying for knowledge from these people. You're paying for the expertise that hopefully they're bringing to the table for you. But you know what? You can get that same exact knowledge for free from a book that you read or a podcast that you listen to. At the end of the day, if you don't do the work, you're not going to get it. And speaking of podcasts, and I just had this conversation yesterday, don't listen to a podcast that is teaching you, and I won't say don't listen to it. What you want to do is you want to listen to podcasts that are where you are today and where you plan to go tomorrow, not where you plan to be in 5-10 years. There are some amazing, awesome podcasts out there from people that are talking about businesses that you are nowhere near. And what happens is you lose all of your motivation, because if they're sitting there talking about their team and how to have a great team and how to hire the right people and this and that, and you are a solopreneur and you are nowhere near that, why don't you work on getting your business to where you're maxing out your time and you're ready for that first hire, not the fact that you're trying to figure out benefits and how to grow your team of 5 to the next 50 people and all that. That's too far advanced for where you are. Listen to them in the background. Listen to them while you're driving. Listen to them in other things. But when you're trying to learn, find out from people that are at the next step of where you're going. It's important that you do the work. Okay. So sorry, it was a little bit of a tangent into the same thing, but the main thing I want to do is I want you to stay realistic as to where you're going to be tomorrow, but I need you to do the work. I need you to show up. I need you that if you commit to something, you do it, because you're not committing it to me. You're committing it to yourself. You're committing it to your family. You're committing it to your kids. You're committing it to yourself that you are going to take those steps necessary to take your business to the next level. And the only person that you're letting down when you don't do it is you. And if you don't, okay, fine. Pick yourself back up and put it back on the plate for tomorrow and then do it. Okay? Like I said, the guy I've been talking about this whole entire time, I can't tell you how many Mondays when we circle back to each other, yeah, I didn't do any of that. Okay, he has a valid reason as to why he didn't, but we put it back on, then let's get to it this month. Let's get it to this week. Let's keep going. And you know what? He does get it done. He does eventually get it done, and he moves the needle. Or he says, you know what, I've been thinking about it, and there's a better goal for me than that particular goal. Because sometimes when we don't want to do something, it's just because there's something not aligned with that it really is the right thing. We think we should be doing it, but the reality is it's not the next thing that we should be doing. The other thing is using the business numbers to help him grow his business. Probably the single biggest factor to him jumping on his sales, honestly, was using the numbers to find out the best sellers, making sure that his inventory was correct, making sure that his turns were better. He used the business numbers to propel his success. Everything else around it supported it. Everything else was about improving his processes and making them better. Everything else supported what the ultimate goal was, but the thing that moved the needle the most came down to the business numbers. And what am I always preaching to you guys? Your business numbers. So make the commitment. Make the commitment that you're going to start looking at those business numbers, that you're going to start trying to figure out, how do I make my business better? And you're going to take the steps to be able to do it. Get back up. If you didn't do anything yesterday, great. Today's a new day. Do it again. Do it again. Do it again. Over and over until you make it happen. Or get rid of it and put something new in front of it. But you've got to do something every single day to move your business. Don't put your head down on your pillow unless you did something to move your business. It could be something that takes 5 minutes to do or an hour to do, but just do one thing that helps you run a better business every single day. Do it first thing in the morning, do it in the middle of the day, do it at the end of the day, doesn't matter. But ask yourself before you lay your head down, what did I do today to help me run a better business? It could be listening to something for 5-10 minutes. It could be looking at the business numbers and going, okay, right now it doesn't look like anything, but I'm going to try to understand at least one line on my P&L. 5-10 minutes. You improved yourself. You improved yourself for your business. Those are the things that I'm talking about. You've got to make a conscious decision to make a difference in your business. And when you make that decision and you take the steps, I promise you, you're going to do it. All right. With that, I'm going to stop preaching. Get out there, kick some butt. I know you can make success. And you know what? I know you're going to get to your own personal $10,000. You're not just going to get there. You're going to bypass it big time because you're going to show up. You're going to do the work. And every single day, you're going to ask yourself, did I make a difference today? All right. Talk to you next time. Bye for now.